It's time for Supply Chain Now. Broadcasting live from the supply chain capital of the country, Atlanta, Georgia. Heard around the world, Supply Chain Now spotlights the best in all things supply chain. The people, the technologies, the best practices, and the critical issues of the day. And now, here are your hosts.
Hey, good afternoon. Scott Luton with you live here on Supply Chain Now. Welcome back to the show. Today's show, we are not broadcasting from Atlanta, Supply Chain City. We're here in Las Vegas at the Reverse Logistics Association Conference and Expo, their big annual event. This is the center of the universe, at least with all things reverse logistics and returns, which is a incredible aspect and growing priority when it comes to global end-to-end supply chain management. And we've had the good fortune of sitting down with some of the leading thought leaders and supply chain leaders in the space, getting their insights, getting their best practices, folks that are really powering the modern e-commerce economy. So with all that said, we should mention how we're very appreciative of our sponsor of today's programming. That is Recommerce. Recommerce Group Industries is an industry leader in return product management, return center services, remanufacturing, reprocessing, repairing, and recycling of consumer products. All the reads there. You can learn more at recommercegroupinc.com. Quick programming note, you can find our podcast wherever you get your podcasts from, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts,
Spotify, and YouTube.
Just make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a thing. So welcoming in my fearless co-host, Greg White, serial supply chain tech entrepreneur, trusted advisor, chronic disruptor. Greg, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm trying to keep it short. This has been great. Truly, this is an underappreciated part of the business, and
Agreed.
I think it's really, really important.
Agreed.
Lots of aspects: environmental aspects, profitability aspects, customer success and sustainability aspects, and we have learned so much.
Yes.
In like a day and a half.
Well, and the neat thing is as if we want to put our consumer's hat on, as we all are, the modern consumer buying habits and conveniences would not happen without the folks here, right? And the folks here are helping to drive many of the sustainability initiatives that is so important to consumers, and fortunately is getting more and more important to every company and business leader out there, right?
Yeah, it is. And Tony Sciarrotta, who's the executive director at RLA, takes a great perspective. First, try to eliminate returns, then deal with them.
Yes,
right?
Yes. So let's introduce today's guest. I'm excited about this. Julie Ryan with HP, the leader of the North American Returns and Remarketing division within the company. Julie, how you doing?
I'm good.
Great to have you here.
It's great to be here.
So this has been quite a day. This culminates really the day one. Day zero was yesterday. I had several great interviews.
That's how hard working we are, Julie.
Yeah.
We worked on day zero. There aren't even enough
committed.
days.
Yeah.
That's right. But it's been a fascinating day, and it's great to be with you here and learn more about what HP is doing. There's so many we talk about it all the time. While a lot of big companies like HP are getting so many things right and leading the charge, there's a lot of world-class companies out there that are still looking for the right solution when it comes to reverse logistics and returns and how to handle all that. So we're going to talk more about that momentarily. But first, Julie, our favorite way to kind of start the interview is to find out more about the Julie Ryan story and your journey. So for starters, where are you from, and give us a couple secrets from your upbringing.
Okay. Yeah. So I actually was born outside of Chicago.
Okay.
And grew up in the Midwest and landed outside of Dallas, Texas, my senior year in high school.
Okay.
Yeah. So now I can kind of consider myself a Texas resident.
Okay.
You can't. The Texans are proud.
Yes.
Can't. I'm not a
Texan, technically,
not a
right?
Texan, but I'm a resident now.
So what did your family move to the Dallas area?
My father worked for Goodyear,
Okay.
Tire and Rubber Company, in sales, and we landed here for a promotion.
So Texas resident now. So how did you enter the industry? Did you stumble across it in school, or did you get we heard from someone earlier today they got called from a previous job interview, and it was a wrong call, wrong number, but he took him up on it, and that's how he found his way.
That's great.
So how did you break in?
So I, coming into Texas, big school, big state, went to North Texas, got a degree in finance, business degree in finance, found the love of my life, got married, and he's a Houston native.
Okay.
So came down to Houston and had that degree, but really didn't know what finance is broad. There's many different aspects of it.
That's it.
And this little startup was happening in Houston that was breaking all kinds of records. It intrigued me, called Compaq Computer Corporation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Heard of them.
And yeah, a little bit. Good history. So happened to really aggressively interview, put my resume in, interview, and landed a job. 33 years ago, Compaq was acquired by Hewlett-Packard.
Okay.
In 2015, Hewlett-Packard and HP split. So I am now with HP Inc., which is the logo, the blue logo you see with personal systems and print, now branching into 3D and imaging.
So, boy, the changes you've seen in those years, especially in an industry that even regardless of how supply chain has changed, that industry.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
I mean, it's
been
like
completely
setting.
transformed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how did you land that first job with Compaq? You saw it was starting up in
Houston.
and you
Yeah.
saw an ad, or
Well, no, they're like the fastest growing tech company, biggest revenue, breaking industry records.
Yeah.
And
you saw
I
that
like
and you
that
said,
about that.
I've got to be part of that.
I want to be a part of that.
Love it.
I don't want to go I don't want to work at a bank, you know.
Well, you know what I love about
Do
that
lending?
Yeah.
is especially nowadays, supply chain finance and supply chain finance chops is so sought after
Right.
in supply chain.
Right.
So you're
Well, and what's
You're-
funny, so I landed there, and I've used the business degree, the business classes, the business courses, but I've never had a role in finance. Stayed in various roles in sales operations, supply chain, sales support. And in 97, in Compaq, their returns I was a project manager at the time, and their receiving was in one part of Northwest Houston, their manufacturing was in another physical location in Northwest Houston, and then they had a store kind of in central Houston, and tapped me on the shoulder and said, could you help look at centralizing this? And that was in 97. And I've never gone back. I've loved this space. There's something every day. And the nice thing about it is while sometimes we're a revenue contributor,
Right.
we're more of a loss minimization. So everything we can do to create, optimize, innovate, we minimize the loss at the P&L.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
A little bit of passion. You're making it happen and making an impact. And
Yeah.
that's always very rewarding and gratifying when you're in a position where you can do that.
Right.
Yeah. So let's dive more into HP.
Yeah. So you gave us a little bit of a picture of HP versus Hewlett-Packard versus Compaq. So
Right.
tell us a little bit more about what your segment of the business, right? The returns and remarketing.
So
does.
HP is, we have a really strong customer, we're a partner-focused, partner-centric company. And everyone that buys from HP, all of our customers, our resellers, our distributors, our retailers, have a return program associated with that purchase.
Got it.
And so my team and my focus is in the North America, so U.S. and Canada. So anyone that buys a product from HP can return it. And this is whole units. So I'm not in the services, the spare parts, the warranty
Right.
event aspect. This is actually customer remorse. I went to Best Buy. I didn't really want this computer. I'm going to go back. Or I'm working with a large distributor. Synex, for example, and they have a stock rotation.
Okay.
They've got some product that is not moving for
Caged
them.
or
They
whatever.
want to buy more refreshed, and so they'll send that back.
Okay.
And so that's the space that we manage within HP.
So in that case, let's say it's the distributor. What was it? Synex?
Synex, yeah.
Okay, so let's say Synex sends you their product back. Then how does your organization get involved with that?
So my team starts from approving the return.
Okay.
So, the RMA return material authorization
Right.
you get.
You hear that a lot
Yes.
at this show, don't you? RMA.
RMAs.
Yeah.
And HP is, got our own world of acronyms. But, yeah, so my team is working with all the partners and approving what they want to return. And then our U.S. return center is outside of Nashville.
Okay.
Canada is outside of Toronto.
Okay.
And they come back, and we receive them and give the credit back to the customer based on their original order. And my team knows what's coming back. So we have a forecast. We know what HP has sold. We know what's coming back. And we have an analytical model that says we can recover the cost, and we want to refurbish it. We'll remarket it, sell it to a secondary market with an HP warranty. It's a refurbished product. Or we can't.
Right.
And we have authorized partners that buy the product as is. In other words, we haven't checked the condition. We haven't wiped the customer data. They purchase it, and they manage the processing under our guidelines.
Got it.
And sell it with their warranty.
Okay. So is that a liquidator type? Really? I mean, I know it's somewhere
it is
between
in the vein
liquidator.
that you're buying an as is, and it's less because it's a lower cost product, but not in terms of they're buying a truckload.
Right.
They don't know what's coming to them.
Right.
Like a retailer who's got lots of
Like
apparel.
a going out of business. This is not a going out of business.
It is not
thing,
a going
right,
out of
course,
business.
but
Yeah, it's an authorized, vetted partner who
a consistent partner.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it. So and then, okay. So when that happens, there's a delineation between refurbished or right.
Right.
Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
Refurbished?
When we sell the product or remarket the product,
Right.
it's a HP certified refurbished
Got it.
product. Yeah.
Okay. Great.
And then there's many times where we'll get product in that is never been opened, factory sealed. We'll
Right.
sell, many of the times we'll send it back into the distribution center for another new order. If it's end of life, we will sell it as excess new. So we won't downgrade it to a refurbished.
Excess new.
Excess new. So it's
okay.
been returned,
Yep.
but it's never been opened. Seal legally, we can't. If something's been opened, it has to be refurbished.
Right.
Yeah.
Refurbished might be retaping the box in some cases. Right. I mean, the box could have been opened and it never taken out.
No, by HP legal standard, we have to go through the entire process, wipe the drive as if it was turned on.
Really?
Yep.
So
Yep.
That's interesting because that's okay.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a question, and correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
The printers,
Yes.
does that fall under HP Inc.?
Yes, that's
Okay.
I manage. So think of a LaserJet and inkjet printer, a consumer notebook,
Yes.
a consumer monitor, laptop, all in one.
All that.
Commercial notebook, a commercial workstation. All of that comes
Okay,
back
But
to
good.
my
it's
team.
but it's consumer products.
No, it's
it's also
business
services.
commercials.
Yeah.
It's not a server, but if you work at let's say you work at an insurance company, your computer at your desk is a commercial business unit,
Right.
which comes with a lot of IT security
Yes.
and more power than a unit you would buy at Target or
Got it.
Walmart. Yeah.
So, I think you'll appreciate this because my introduction to returns, especially in the modern age, was an HP printer, a higher-end printer.
Okay.
My first business and startup, I wish I could say it was Compaq or something along that scope, but it was not. We were in the consulting and training space, and we printed out a ton of courseware.
Right.
250 pages per, sometimes 100 copies of that. We needed a heavy-duty printer. So I got an HP printer, and user error broke it in some way, shape, or form, or maybe the paper I was using broke it. Got on the horn with HP. They had a remanufactured printer on my doorstep within like 2 days, and which was impressive. This is back in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
So this is that's forever ago, 7 years ago
Right.
in the e-commerce.
Sure.
Right. So not only did they get the printer there, they gave me easy instructions of how to put my current printer that was broken back into that same box. And the most beautiful thing, because I was a rookie at that time, right?
Yeah.
Just leave it on my doorstep.
And they'll pick it up.
Yes.
Wow.
And as a small business person, an entrepreneur, which, I was pulling my hair out because we had to have that courseware printing.
Right.
It was probably as least disruptive to our business. And that's when it dawned on me, the thick-headed person I am, of how incredibly valuable the returns is. Because I don't think I'd ever returned any electronics.
Right.
I just thought it was ruined and went and bought new. But it was so it was very non-disruptive, and I'm still using that same printer today. And
Since
I was
2013.
Yes,
Wow.
and I was still we're still.
We'd
used
love for
to-
you to buy a new one,
Is
but good story.
Or a remanufactured one,
Well,
even
you know
better.
what? In 2013, that refurb printer
Yeah.
came from my team. I was
Really?
in this role back then still.
Well,
Yeah.
So was this printed on a?
Yes. No, yes, it was. And the interesting thing, when I heard, it was also probably my first remanufactured anything.
Experience, yeah.
Yeah, so when I got it, I was like, well, initially, I was like, service blew me away, but man, how long is this going to last? It's still working 7 years later.
Great story.
And Greg, to your point, yes, this was printed. The fine folks at the business office cut them in half, all nice and neat for them. But yeah, so to be at a Reverse Logistics Association event and that story dawned on me.
Yeah.
So, but that's the world we live in today. That's my unexpected good experience is now table stakes, right?
Yeah, very good.
So, before we go broader, what is the hardest when I look at the remarketing side? What I think of, we had a couple folks that stopped by that are in the camera space, and they're constantly looking for new avenues that are valuable avenues that wouldn't diminish any aspect of the quality of their remanufactured products. New ways of remarketing this equipment that can still do the job, as my story indicates. Is that part of the challenge? Constantly looking for new channels to.
Not in our space and in our shoes. So HP's returns organization, my team, is a very mature organization. Early on with HP and both with Compaq, they understood the value of what that return would do if they would just scrap it and put it in the recycling process. So they invested a lot of focus. So we are really closely aligned with all the category, the P&L owners, print, PC, consumer, commercial. And as a result, our go-to-market for remarketing is aligned almost exactly the same as the forward side. So we have an indirect, predominantly indirect go-to-market.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So we're selling to the Synex secondary company called PC Wholesale, for example.
Okay.
Or
Got
the
it.
BestBuy.com versus the Best Buy.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
What so the season of 2019, gotten past that, and of course January is really big for a lot of folks, not everyone, but a lot of folks in the returns and reverse space. Does anything stick out of some key lessons learned from the last 4 or 5 months that you're going to apply for the next season, busy season?
Well, one of the things that's kind of put a little interruption, a pause in our world is HP globally is deploying a new ERP system.
Excellent.
So we're deploying SAP globally, and therefore we are doing that as well in returns. And just like all the product life cycle, the returns is one of the last pieces that comes back on the system. So the customers buy the product and place their orders on S4. Well, they return it. But they're returning product from the old ERP system and the current one. So that's kind of consumed our lives lately. I've got a Hilton and United status because of that.
Oh, man. Oh,
but
gosh.
No, I think probably over and above, just similar to what you've probably heard, is the digital transformation.
Yeah.
We're transforming what we're doing with our partners, making it more a self-service portal. We're transforming what we're doing with our employees, more data-driven, and then with our partners as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably our biggest strategy going into 2020.
Love it. Love it. All right. So before we go broader and kind of put our finger on the pulse of some of the things that maybe you're tracking more than others, let's talk about the Reverse Logistics Association. I love when all folks and leaders give back to associations like this, but
right.
Leaders from big iconic organizations with tougher schedules, that's really valuable as well. And I know you keynoted the Women in Reverse luncheon yesterday, right?
I did.
Which we've heard was 3 times as attended as it was last year, which is great.
And we locked the doors. No men were allowed.
Really?
You must have been really good to sell out triple the seats from last year, right?
It was a great event. It was lots of engaged conversation, but I was honored to be able to have that opportunity.
Well, I don't want to surprise you with a question, but what was the main thrust of your presentation?
The theme was, supply chain is a predominantly male-driven industry, and so when us females participate and come to the office, it's having confidence to have a seat at the table with all the men. That was really the theme: is be yourself, be true to who you are,
Love that.
and don't worry about your gender.
Love that. And if I'm gonna ask the same question that's come up a couple times just out of the conversations we've had here today. If you're speaking, if you had the opportunity, based on what you shared yesterday and any of the conversations that came up as y'all were enjoying that conversation yesterday, you were speaking to young ladies in high school or college that were looking to start their careers on the right foot and aspire to be leaders such as yourself. What's the best advice you could give them?
I think I would say don't chase a title. Don't chase a career path that you have been told to pursue. Go find what you're interested in. Go find what your passion is and work hard. And the rewards, be yourself, be accountable, be responsible, and the results will follow.
Love that.
That is really good advice. That's really good advice for anyone, really. I think too often people, they ascend to the next or seek the next level of job because they feel more of a sense of obligation to do that than a sense of leadership or, of internal drive to be there, right? That's really good advice.
Yep. And as a follow-up to that, what value, you're here supporting the Reverse Logistics Association as an organization and thought leadership here. What's the value? How can folks benefit?
RLA, as a person on the advisory board, you could attend a conference almost every week.
Right.
There are conferences or associations throughout the industry. What I have such a passion about with Reverse Logistics Association is it's not just an event once a year. There are committees throughout the reverse topic that are held monthly, quarterly. There are newsletters. There are white papers. So it's not just about the networking and the sharing and the lessons learned and sharing the best practices that take place this week, but it's an ongoing access
community.
And it's we're a small team of people within this industry, planted within all of our companies. And it's not a real secret sauce, but we find as we share, we have a lot of common pain points and common leverage that we can share, and we take advantage of that through this association.
Love it. Love it. Big value there. Okay, Greg, we're going to go broader, right?
Yes.
Final question of the interview.
This is my favorite question. Crystal ball question, right? So think about some trends or challenges or innovations or whatever that you see in the marketplace that you're tracking today or that have got, you've got in the forefront of your mind today.
So I mentioned the digital automation, and that's a big word. And in my space, it really can touch like 3 different areas because my operations is outsourced. So though we do the remarketing inside and do the return approvals within HP employee teams, all the operations are outsourced. So working with our outsourced partners, driving innovation, driving automation, you've heard EDI. So the EDI signals instead of getting into the system and doing transactions. That's a big drive. And then just trying to partner, the other probably biggest piece from a big is partner with our partners on refusals, getting ahead of the game for refusals, either it being damaged or duplicate orders or the wrong address, and trying to get those through the supply chain
consumer
fast.
Refusals.
Consumer, commercial,
right.
print.
So you ship it to somebody and they say, no, thank you.
Right. Or, we ship it to a warehouse. It's forward supply chain. So a hub, and there could be 2 printers damaged on the bottom of the pallet.
Got it.
That whole pallet's coming back.
Right after their forklift driver drives the...
Oh, but they didn't do that.
No, of course they didn't.
So really trying to get ahead and one step. So we're working with the freight carriers, the big carriers. We're working with our logistics team to optimize that, because that has a lot of cash flow because it's still a factory sealed product.
Yeah, and it's effectively never invoiced at that point too, so it becomes a pretty substantial. You're the finance person. I'll trust your judgment on it. But it becomes an instant burden on the finances at that point, right? Yeah.
And then I think the other challenge, because we are remanufacturing so many of the returns, it's working with our primarily retailers to get everything we sold them back. So the accessory, the style,
the power cord, if it's not
think of
permanently
a notebook, and now they're touchscreen.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Those customers love to keep those stylus pens. They're
Really?
expensive. Yeah, so we'll get the notebook back. Sometimes we get the charger back. 9 times out of 10, we don't get that stylus pen, and that's an additional cost.
Yeah.
To remanufacture. So working with the retailers, that's probably another big challenge that we have.
My guess is if they're anything like me, they lost the stylus pen almost as soon as they opened the box.
Yeah.
Right, it fell on the
Went in
floor
the
and
trash
rolled under the couch or
Went in
whatever.
the trash with the foam.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, how can our listeners, get in touch? Clearly, I know that you have planted some seeds that they're going to want to follow up and benchmark some of the things they're doing, because it seems to be. I'm not a reverse logistics practitioner, right? But having been active in supply chain for about 15 years, this community here, clearly, there's a lot of camaraderie, particularly around reverse practitioners. So I bet some of the stuff you've shared, folks are going to want to compare notes as part of that community. What's the best way to connect and also connect and follow up with HP?
Well, if you're interested in a refurbished product, we do have a little bit of a direct arm. It's our commercial product, our commercial PCs. It is a business outlet.
Yep.
And you can navigate that on the hp.com portal. Though not a true online website, you'll get a list of the available products and you can purchase that. All the other product that we sell, again, is through our distributors. So you go to PC Wholesale, you go to D&H, the large.
Best Buy, whatnot.
And you'll see a refurbished product.
What if they want to reach out to you? How do you want them to reach out to
Probably
you?
the best way to do that is through LinkedIn.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's really smart, by the way. Don't give them your cell number.
Or
Cell? I have a cell.
Yeah.
they can come check out the Women in Reverse Leadership Lunch next year, where you may not be keynoting, but I bet you'll be here.
That's right. That's right. If you are in this industry
Yes.
and have not come here, you're missing out.
Perfect.
Yep.
Great way. And of course, it's all over our podcast, our monthly reverse logistics series we do, of course, our website, but rla.org for more information on joining or participating with the Reverse Logistics Association. Julie, I'm so glad we had a chance to sit down. I know between your advisory board, your role at HP, and
Can
of
you
course,
show them your name tag? I mean, I think you win.
Actually,
You
I had
are
one
winning.
more, and it got stolen.
Right.
Joseph's coat of many colors.
So between all of the things that he was about to mention, which are documented here,
visual management.
I don't know how you have the time to have this discussion, but we sure appreciate you doing it.
It's been my honor. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate it, Julie, and appreciate you taking the time to give back and share perspectives, both with the industry as well as a lot of female practitioners that are on their own journeys.
Very good.
All right, so we've been speaking with Julie Ryan with HP. What a great way to kind of wrap up day one. Sponsored by our good friends at Recommerce, and wonderful conversation, I thought.
Solid cleanup hitter on Hank Aaron's birthday. What could be more appropriate?
Oh, man, you're
Wow.
quick.
Huh?
You are quick. Well, what we want to do real quick, Julie, before we wrap, just let's cover a couple of events expedited that we're going to be at. We always like to invite our audience and supporters to come check us out in person. Come be part of these conversations that we're having right here, right now.
Yeah.
What's next on the schedule?
MODEX 2020, March 9th through 12th.
Yep.
In Atlanta, Georgia.
Greg
At the
will be
Georgia World
keynoting.
Congress Center.
Kidding.
World Congress Center. Daniel McKinnon might have something to say about that. MODEXshow.com. Free to attend. Great displays, material handling products, and small factories and big vehicles. It's a blast.
Sensory overload. If you
It
love
is.
supply chain
Tons of great
manufacturing.
technology there. The 9th through the 12th, like I said, it's free. On Tuesday at MODEX is the Atlanta Supply Chain Awards at 10 a.m. until 1:30-ish p.m. Depends on how long you want to talk to Scott afterwards. AtlantaSupplyChainAwards.com. That is celebrating all of the cool supply chain companies in Atlanta, whether you're in logistics or warehousing or technology or whatever aspect of
Reverse
supply chain
logistics,
you're in, there is an award for you. So if you feel like you deserve it, don't be ashamed to nominate yourself. If you want to sponsor, that's great. We're getting filled up. And if you want a seat at the table, as we're talking about here, if you want a seat at the table, literally to eat your lunch, then you better get in there quick because we are selling out.
Soon. Yeah, first year was last year. We sold out a couple weeks out. The second year event, we've got Kristen Fisher, President and CEO of Georgia Pacific, keynoting of the Atlanta Supply Chain Awards. We're very appreciative that MODEX is hosting that event. But the cool thing is MODEX is free to attend, as you shared. AtlantaSupplyChainAwards.com for more information on registering for that event or nominating. February 15th is the deadline for nominations.
That's right.
And
So hurry up.
Yeah, come out. And the only requirement we have is if you have you have to have some kind of presence or operation or something in the metro Atlanta 29 county area, which is massive, bigger than what most people think.
I wonder how many. I wonder if that's a lot. Seems like that's a lot, doesn't it?
Yes. So after we get past the busy month of March, and by the way, we're streaming live on the floor of MODEX, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Throughout all 4 days.
We won't actually be on the floor, but our chairs will be. So
Good
yeah,
catch.
yeah,
Good catch here in Vegas. All right, so AIAG.
yes,
what's
the
going
Automotive
on?
Industry Action Group Corporate Responsibility Summit. That's April 28th and 29th in Novi, Michigan. And by the way, free ticket to that if you can let us know where Novi got its name from. We'll never guess. And then also June 9th with AIAG again, their Supply Chain Summit. And then June 10th, we're going to be spending some time with the folks at Wayne State University.
Correct.
Talking about cool supply chain topics with their professors and students and other interested parties.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of good things about their supply chain program and looking forward to seeing what they're doing, what's working so well.
And sandwiched in between those two, AME, Atlanta 2020 Lean Summit, May 4th through the 7th. the Association of Manufacturing Excellence. So we're going to be actually streaming on the first day of the summit, and they're going to be talking about Six Sigma, Lean, continuous improvement topics for manufacturers. Great organization.
Yep, absolutely, and that's the precursor. That Lean Summit in May in Atlanta is a regional event of about 250 or so folks, and their 2021 big international event is coming to Atlanta just about a year from there, so they're looking forward to that. So come out and check us out in person. Big thanks again to our guest, all of our guests today, but especially our cleanup hitter, Julie Ryan with HP. Really enjoyed, again, your thought leadership and what you've shared with our audience. To our audience, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to check us out wherever you get your podcast from, including
YouTube.
But you've got to subscribe so you don't miss anything. We publish Monday through Friday, which is a bit of an odd bird for a podcast, but there's all that and more to cover across the end-to-end supply chain community. Also, find our previous shows, our upcoming events, more information on any of that, other resources at supplychainnowradio.com. On behalf of Greg White and the whole team here, Scott Luting.
Hey, finally you mispronounced your own
name. Wishing you a wonderful week ahead. Stay tuned as we continue our live coverage of the Reverse Logistics Association Conference and Expo right here in Vegas. I appreciate you tuning in.